Today is Whack-A-Mole Day. We will be programming this game from scratch, hopefully you can follow me. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. So let's start by opening the project that I put under the description, so you can download it and open it from here. Click open, select tutorial, let's go to the center, let's rename this to Whack-A-Mole, and then 30 frames per second, 700 by 1000 pixels, and then click apply. Now let's see what we have under the asset library. We have a flashy clip, we have a particle clip, we have sounds for when we hit flashy, we have a music for the level, and we have a font, and of course our Wick Editor mascot. Now let's go ahead and create a new layer. So let's name the first layer code, and the second layer objects. Under the objects level, let's add a new frame, and just go to the asset library, and under flashy click add to canvas, put it somewhere there. Do the same thing for the particles. Now let's see what we have inside flashy. To double click. First we have a top grid, which is a rectangle with a little curve at the top, so we can hide flashy. Then we have flashy on the middle, and then we have a ellipse or circle for the hole. So let's see what we have in the first frame. We have a script in the default, which is stop, so flashy can be hide. And then same thing in the frame 10, we have stop for flashy to be unhide, and then we have another animation hiding flashy, and then on frame 19 we have another script to repeat the loop, so flashy can be in frame 1 waiting to be unhide, and then on frame 20 we have the flashy disappeared. So this is when we hit flashy, so we can have a effects that flashy is not anymore within the game. And then in frame 30 we have another script, so we can go back to frame 1. Now let's go back to the project context. Click on project, go and do double click on the particle, and let's see what we have in here. Of course, on the first frame we have stop command, so we stop this animation. So we have this animation like we are hitting flashy and we are destroying it. And then on frame 9 we have another script to remove this particle. Going back to the project, now let's add code. So click on the code frame and click on default, and let's add a script. So I declare these contents. The first two are for how many flashes I want on the screen. So we will have 4 rows of them with 3 columns for a total of 12. And then the other 2 constants are for the initial location of the first flashy, and the other 2 constants are for the spacing between flashes in X and Y. Now with this we can go ahead and create the grid. Let's define a double for loop. So now let's clone the 12 flashes. Temp flashy equals flashy dot clone. So we are cloning this flashy here. And then we have to change the location of every single one. For that we have created constants. So it will start on flashy start x plus the spacing multiplied by the column index. We will do the same thing for the y-axis. Flashy start y, spacing on y, and then rows. This is working just fine. We have a grid of 12 flashes. We have 4 rows and 3 columns. Let's go back to the code. Now let's add some global variables here for timers. Basically the first 2 global variables here for timers, max timers, this will be the random number from min weight to max weight, in which flashy will wait to be unhide, and then once flashy is unhide, this 2.5 seconds will be the amount of time that flashy will be unhide, waiting to be heated. Also we need the game over flag, so the game can be in game over state or not. So we always start on false flashy, and let's add code on the default script. So the first thing that we want to know if whether or not this is a clone. So if this is clone, then we want this to be visible. So opacity equals 1, else opacity equals 0. So let's declare a initial state for whether or not flashy is hide. So this dot hide equals true because the start state will be on hide. And then let's also define a counter for timer. I will set this to this t equals 0, and then the time that it will be hidden, this the hide wait equals to random, and then we will be using the constants that we defined under the default script under the first frame. Min weight, put it here, and then max weight, and then random should be, we have, in this case we will be using float, and then we have to add a update script. Let's do that. Timeline update. So the first thing that we want to know as well is whether or not this is a clone. So this is a clone. If it's a clone, then this is in the game. So also, if not game over, then if this is hide or not. So if this is hide, we have to wait for the timer that we define under the default script, which is the hide wait. Let me copy this. So basically, if this dot t plus plus is greater or equal than paste, which is the height weight. Then we will reset the T to 0, and we will say to Flashy to go to the second frame and play, go to and play. And lastly, the hide state to be false, because now we are on cover. Now when we are not hide, then we define the same thing. This.t plus plus is greater or equal than, then we have a constant or no, a global variable for unhide weight. Copy. Let's go back to Flashy again. Update here. Paste. If this is true, then we set the timer to 0 again, and then we send Flashy go to and play 11, which is the frame to hide Flashy again, and then we have to change the state of hide equals to true. So let's test this out. So as you can see, they are waiting randomly, and then they wait 2.5 seconds uncovered, and then they go back to be hidden again. So this is working as expected. So let's go back to the code. Now let's program the hid functionality. Let's add another script here. This time around will be, let's see, mouse, and then mouse pressed. So again, if this is not game over, so not game over, then if this current frame number, is equal to 10, which is where Flashy is on hide, then we want to first instantiate or clone a particle. Let's do 10 particle equals to particles.clone, which is this one here. Then we have to locate this particle wherever Flashy was, so .x equals to this .x, and then the same thing for the y-axis, this .y, but in this case we want this a little bit higher, so minus 120, and then we restart the timer again so we can still use this Flashy, this the wait timer, which is this one. Copy this. And then this dot go to and play 20, which is where Flashy is not present on the screen, and then this dot hide equals to true, and that will be it for now. Let's try this out. Also, we have to put some code into the particle. Let's do that first. Go to particle, default, and then under the default tab, again, we want to know if this is a clone. So if this is clone, then we set up the opacity to 1. If not, we do the opposite. Opacity equals to 0, and then this dot go to and play 2, so we can activate the particle animation. So let's try this out. So now it's supposed, whenever I click on Flashy, it will do the animation, and it seems that it's working just fine. This is working as expected, which is good. So let's define the goal of the game. So we will have 20 seconds. Within that time, you have to hit flashes as much as you can, and then it will be adding 100 points every time that you hit it to the scoring system. But every time that you don't hit a flashy, it will subtract 25 points. So let's program that. So first, let's add some labels and text here so we can store the score and also the time. So I will name this one score label, and this is for our score text, and for this one time label, and for the time text. And then we will decrease the opacity so we can have a dark green. And this is fine. So let's program this. Let's go first to the main code. So let's add score equal to 0, and then score text dot set text, which is the function to set the text, equal to a score. And then let's click on Flashy's code, go to the mouse press, and whenever we hit Flashy, we want the score to be increased. So let's do that. Set score text, set text, score plus equals 100 points. Let's do the same thing. Whenever Flashy hides itself, let's subtract 25 points, which is in here. Paste. Yes, and then 25. Let's test this out. So let's hit one flashy, and I have 500 points, 700, 900, and then when they hide themselves, it will subtract 25 points every single time. So this is working as expected. So lastly, let's go back to the main code and add the code for the timer, for the game time. So we have then game time starting with 0, then time txt, which is this variable here, time txt dot set text. We use this variable here, copy, paste. It will start on 0. And then we have to add a update script, timeline update, and then if this is not game over, again, then we need a counter for our time. So let's do that. Maybe frame counter. Let's put it in here. Equals to 0. Let's use this variable. If frame counter plus plus is greater or equal than 1 second, which is, we have 1 second somewhere here. Mean weight. Then we reset the counter to 0, and then if game time is greater than -1, because we want the 0 seconds to be playable, we will be doing time txt dot set text game time. Else we want to set up the game over flag to the so game over. Let's test this out. not working. I think that I have to set up this to 20 initially, not to 0. Let's do that. It would be 20. Now it's 20, 19, this is working. Let's wait 20 seconds to see what happens. Everything is working fine. And now I cannot do anything else because the time is kind of less than 0, and this is my score. So this is actually a good game now. Now let's define a text for game over, maybe a time is up. So for that, let's just copy this label, copy paste, and then put something like time is up, and maybe a little bit bigger, like this, and it will be game over label or text, maybe better. Text, game over text. So initially we want that to be set as empty, so let's do that. Dot set text to empty, and then when the time is up, which is in the update script, here is the game over. Let's set that text to time is up. Time is up. Let's see. Time is up. This is working fine. Now we have these two sounds here. This is whenever we hit a ghost, and we have a music for the level. So let's put that. So under the main code, let's go to sound, play sound, and in here we put level mp3. So let's change this level, and same thing whenever we hit flashy. So let's go to flashy code, mouse press somewhere here, and it will be hit.waf. And then whenever we are on game over, we want the music to stop. Let's do that. Let's go to the mainframe code, and on the game over, let's go to stop all sounds, semicolon, and this should be the trick. Let's do that. Let's test this out. This is amazing. As you can see or hear, the music stopped and the sounds are working fine. So this is it. This is a good game. I think it's a good beginner level. I hope you had fun doing it and seeing it. Hopefully you can replicate this demo and have fun with Wick Editor.